All right, so did you know that every single home loan gets slapped with one of two secret labels, conforming or non-conforming? Now, I know that sounds super technical, right? But believe me, this one little difference can totally change your entire mortgage journey. So, what's it all about? And more importantly, what does it mean for you? Let's dive in and break it all down.
Okay, so let's set the scene. You've done it. You found the perfect house, you've waded through all the paperwork, and you just hit submit on your mortgage application. Whew! But what you probably don't realize is that in that exact moment, your loan application starts a journey down one of two very, very different paths.
Yep, that's right. One loan, two paths. As soon as your lender gets that application, they immediately start to categorize it. You can almost think of it like a sorting hat for home loans, Based on a very specific set of rules, your loan is going to get stamped either conforming or non-conforming. And trust me, that one little stamp changes everything about what happens next.
So, path number one, the conforming loan. This is kind of the main highway of the mortgage world. It's a loan that plays by all the rules, really strict guidelines set by two massive players you've probably heard of, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And because it's so standardized, your lender can turn around and sell this loan on what's called the secondary market. Now, why does that matter? Well, it's a huge deal, and we're going to get to that in just a second.
And then there's path number two, for the non-conforming loan. And, well, just like it sounds, this is the loan that breaks the rules. For whatever reason, it just doesn't check all the boxes on that strict Fannie and Freddie checklist. And because it's not standard, it can't be sold on that secondary market. This means the lender who gives you this loan, they're stuck with it. They have to keep it on their own books.
So at the end of the day, it's actually pretty simple. Conforming loans follow the rules, which means they can be sold. Non-conforming loans, they don't follow the rules, so they can't be sold. And that one little detail, the ability to be sold, that's the key difference that makes the whole mortgage world go round. But it begs the question, right? Why do we even have these rules in the first place?
Well, to get why the rules exist, you gotta meet the rule makers. These guidelines aren't just random. They were actually put in place for a really important reason, to keep the entire housing market stable and full of cash. So let's pull back the curtain and meet the two giants who are really running the show.
And here they are, the names we just mentioned, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Their official title is Government-Sponsored Enterprises, or GSEs for short. And what do? Well, their entire job is to buy up mortgages from the local banks and lenders, the ones you actually talk to. You can think of them as the engine that powers that whole secondary mortgage market we were talking about.
And their whole purpose, their entire reason for being, is right here in this quote. It's to expand the secondary mortgage market. How? By buying up all those standardized conforming loans from the lenders. And when they do that, it gives the original bank a big pile of fresh cash. And what does the bank do with that cash? They immediately turn around and use it to fund another home loan for the next person waiting in line. It creates this really powerful continuous cycle. See how it works? Step 1, you get your mortgage. Step 2, because it's a conforming loan, your lender sells it off to Fannie or Freddie. Step 3, bam! The lender gets its money back right away. And with that new cash, they're ready for step 4, funding a mortgage for the next home buyer. It's a whole system designed to keep money moving, which ultimately makes mortgages easier and cheaper for all of us to get. Okay, so we've established the system is all about these rules. But what's the biggest rule? What's the number one thing that usually separates a conforming loan from a non-conforming one? What's the main dividing line? The magic number?
It all comes down to this number, the conforming loan limit. For 2025, for most single-family homes across the U.S., that limit is $806,500. Think about that. If your loan is at or below this number, you're likely on the conforming path. But if you need to borrow just $1 more, you're automatically pushed into the non-conforming category. And yeah, this number gets updated pretty much every year to keep up with home prices.
So that leads to a pretty obvious question, right? What if you're trying to buy a house in a pricier area and you need to borrow more than that? What happens when you have to break the biggest rule in the book?
That's when you enter the world of the jumbo loan. A jumbo loan is pretty much the most common type of non-conforming loan, and it's exactly what it sounds like, a mortgage that is bigger than the conforming loan limit. Now remember, since the lender can't sell this loan off to Fannie or Freddie, they're taking on all the risk themselves. And what does that mean for you? Well, it usually means stricter requirements. They might want to see a higher credit score or ask for a bigger down payment.
Okay, so we've gone through a lot. We've talked about conforming loans, non-conforming loans, Fannie and Freddie, and those all-important loan limits. So let's bring it all home. What does this actually mean for you when you're the one sitting there filling out that application?
All right, let's do a quick recap of the most important stuff to remember. First, conforming loans follow the rules, which means your lender can sell them. Easy enough. Second, non-conforming loans, like jumbo loans, break the rules, so your lender has to hold on to them. Third, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are the big buyers that keep cash flowing back to lenders. And finally, number 4, that loan limit, that's the magic number that usually separates these two paths.
So there you have it. Now you know what's really going on behind the scenes. You understand this hidden system that makes homeownership possible for millions of people. So as you start to plan your own journey, the question becomes a little different. It's not just if you'll get a loan, but which of these two paths is the one that's going to lead to your new front door?